Today is June the 18th, and it's the time of the year where things can start going bad with your bees. Hey everybody, David Burns, good to be with you today. I'm pumped and excited. I've got a great teaching to help you understand why things go bad this time of the year without beekeepers even knowing it. It is a silent killer. So watch this video all the way through. I'm going to tell you kind of like how to identify the symptoms, what causes it, how to prevent it, and then what you can do if it happens to you, okay? So many beekeepers are going to start losing their bees in the next 60 days. Patrick, you've lost a few in the summertime like this, haven't you?
Yep.
And we all have. And if you're not on the ball, it's kind of surprising, isn't it? What do you think happened in your case?
I think it was queen issues.
Queen issues, yep. All right, good. So here's an example. We looked at this hive last week. And if you remember, if you watched the video, I actually went ahead and put in 4 frames from a mating nuke over there with the queen because I didn't think they had a queen in here. Hard to tell because I saw some eggs, but it could be laying workers. So what we're going to do is drop back in here and see if they accepted the bees on those 4 frames. And I'm going to talk to you about, a lot of you asked me questions about, well, David, what if I don't have, 4 frames in a resource hive to put in here? How would I have solved it if it happened to me? So we're going to talk about that too. How do you solve it if your hive begins to lose population, they begin weakening, and it's the only hive you have? What do you do? Good question. So Patrick, don't let me forget to answer that. Okay, so let's take a look at this hive here and revisit it. I do see some foragers, which I'm happy about. That's kind of cool. So that means that they're going back and forth for resources. They had a lot of resources last week when we looked at it. And did we look at this hive? You remember what day it was that we looked at it, Patrick? Has it been a week?
Wednesday.
Okay.
I think Wednesday.
So it's been about 8 days, hasn't it? All right. So I remember it being low in population. Not much going on. So we gave them 4 frames of bees from a mating nuke with the mating nuke's queen in it. And so we didn't have any capped over brood at all other than some drone brood. So what we want to look at today is, are things getting better? And primarily, do we have a queen in there? We need a queen. We need a laying queen. So let's just start seeing what we got. Let's take this frame out over here. Hey, if you're new to my channel, thanks so much for watching. Welcome. If you don't know who I am, I'm David Burns. I'm a certified master beekeeper. And I'm always assisted in the hives with my friend and videographer, Patrick. Hello, Patrick.
Hi, David.
Yep, so we'll just start looking at these. I like what I'm seeing. It looks more like a beehive. The last one looked more like a failing hive. This doesn't look like a failing hive. It doesn't look heavily populated. So we'll see what's going on. I'm going to be on the live stream tonight. Looking forward to that. If you're watching it the same day the video goes out, I'm going to be on the live stream tonight at 7 o'clock Central Time. Here's the link. And I'm going to be talking about keeping beekeeping simple. That's kind of hard to do, but we're going to talk about it. All right, we saw this frame, a lot of food. So we're making a mental note that the hive here has plenty of resources. We don't see pollen yet. They need pollen to raise brood, which they convert into, or kind of make into bee bread, but that's fine. We'll deal with that. I imagine we're going to see plenty of pollen because I saw a lot of bee bread last time I was in here. Be nice to see some eggs laid by a mated queen. That's what we'd love to see, just help solve these issues. A frame just like the last one we looked at. Nothing to see there. Now these are the frames that were in the mating nuke, these 4 in the middle. And so I expect to see brood that was on them. It should be on here. Okay, very good. And everybody always sees things, and if I don't mention it, they'll say, you missed the little queen cell. So there is a little queen cell there. I believe we saw that last time. Let's see if there's anything in it. I'm going to say no, nothing there. I kind of knew that already, but I would have been surprised had something been in there. So let's go ahead and let's glance for a queen. It'd be great to see a queen in here. And then the next thing I'm going to do, which I recommend you do, is look for the age of larvae that's in the cells on this frame. And we were in here 8 days ago, so anything, you know, pretty young. Let's see, if the queen would have laid an egg 8 days ago, it'd be almost capped over. So I'm going to hold it up like this so I can kind of see down in there. Oh, I see eggs. I'm sorry I can't show you those eggs. Our cameras just don't do justice. We can try, but kind of like off to the corner there are evidences of eggs in there. You'll just have to trust me if the camera is not treating you great. And there's another little cell cup, queen cup down here on the bottom. And again, those are just going to be in there sometimes, but it doesn't hurt to check, okay? Going to look real quick for the queen again. I don't see her. And she was not marked because that's a queen that I just raised in some recent videos that I made on queen rearing. I made a whole bunch of videos this year, 2026, on how to raise your own queens. Boy, if you haven't seen those, I worked hard for you guys to make videos on how to raise your own queens. So you may want to drop back and look at those videos. Yeah, this is a boost, a shot in the arm to this hive that was failing. And I'm going to tell you in just a minute, if you didn't have 4 frames to drop in here, what you could have done too. Okay. Lots of eggs near the bottom. Other bottom, the real bottom, over here toward me. Yeah. Up toward the wood, right in there. There's just a lot of eggs in there, and that's evident that the queen has been laying. So that means she was accepted. You know, we were worried about the queen not being accepted by just dropping those frames in a hive that already had some eggs in it from somewhere else, either laying workers or a queen. In either case, it shows that sometimes you have to follow your instinct. Now, it could have not worked. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an expert in everything. I'm not an expert all the time. Sometimes I take chances and it turns out and makes me look like an expert. That's the case here. But I kind of felt like they needed help, and they seem to have accepted that queen nicely. They didn't kill her. And judging by the number of bees, they accepted all the bees. So, I mean, just look at that. Patrick, can you remember how this seemed like this hive was so weak? It just didn't have anything going for it. And this is starting to look like, I mean, even look down in there in the bottom, how many bees are down there. It's like we just gave it a shot in the arm, like an IV, and wow, it's just transformed it. Well, let me say first, this is one reason I really think you need to have a resource hive. Yeah, if you can afford the time, the bandwidth, and the money to have a 5-frame box, like Patrick can show you some over here. There's just a whole row of them that's out of sight too, but these are little resource mating nooks, and I'm letting them purr along over there. It really works great to support a hive. You don't have to have that many, but if you can have 1 per hive, you can always salvage a failing hive by just using a lot of the frames like we did here. Let's smoke. These bees are being nice, but we don't want to take that for granted. I'm going to be speaking in Elkhart, Iowa this weekend. Yeah, Elkhart, Iowa. Going to be speaking there Saturday. So I'll leave. I don't know if you can still register, but I'll leave a little link right here to see. I saw a bee land on your hand, Patrick. I wasn't sure if I was going to lose you or you're going to stay with me or not. Okay. Beautiful. Big. It's got a little bit of nectar, some eggs scattered around. And our queen could actually be anywhere. She could be, since we started smoking, we could have chased her down to the bottom sometimes. And there's the queen, little plastic queen cup that we put on here. And they put a little cell beside of it, but when I raised this queen, I just punched those in the side. I made a video on how to raise queens and how to punch those in there when they're almost ready to hatch. Okay, but we don't need that in there to make a little divot anymore. All right, so I'm going to look for my queen. Just kind of scan bees. I don't see her there. Ooh, look on the other side here. Yep. Be nice to see her because it makes you feel good when you raise your own queens and you see the queen that you raised, even though you didn't have a big part in it. Mother Nature does all the work, but you kind of feel responsible because you help things turn out good. Did you hear that, Patrick?
Oh, yeah.
Wonder if that got recorded.
I don't know.
If you didn't, if you're wondering what Patrick and I are talking about, if it didn't show up on the microphone, there was, it sounded like to me tannerite.
Oh, I was thinking of cannon.
A cannon?
Yeah.
Really? Who has a cannon?
My uncle used to have one.
Oh my gosh. Can I print that on the film?
I don't care. Yeah, he's dead now.
Where do they get these cannons at?
They make them.
Oh, they make a cannon?
Yeah, it's like
gosh.
great big steel and they bore it out.
Oh my gosh. Whoa. Well, anyway, that was a loud noise, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard it earlier this morning too. I thought somebody's house blew up, like propane exploded or something. Okay, so this is going really good, and I could keep looking. There's no need to. And let me tell you why I don't need to look anymore. Because I saw eggs. The queen is laying eggs. There's no reason to hold this hive open anymore and waste time and potentially, accidentally kill the queen. So everything's going good. We see good numbers. Now let's talk about, when I kind of put this back together, let's talk about what you would do if you didn't have a mating nook or a resource hive to move frames over into this hive. What would you do? Well, there's a lot of options. The easiest thing to do, which is not going to be as, I guess, beneficial, but you have to do it. If you are in a situation like we were, you have to put a mated queen in there. They had resources. They had enough pollen. We saw the last video. It had bee bread. So they had all the resources to raise bees, but they weren't there. And it's usually caused from a queen issue. This is one of those things that will happen to all of you if you're not careful. It doesn't happen to every hive, but this is the time of the year that it happens. It's a product of queen issue. Maybe a hive swarmed and the queen never got mated sufficiently, or maybe she got eaten by a dragonfly or a bird, never made it back. They can't raise one, they don't have eggs. And so the population begins to dwindle. And you don't really see it at first. In fact, if I were to hold up a frame, let me pull another frame up. I want you to guess, stay with me here. I want you to guess how many bees are on a frame. So let me pull up another frame, see if I can find a good one to judge. How about this one here? Let's see what this looks like. It's not bad, it'll work. Okay, so you can look at the bees on this frame and you can make a guess of how many bees that are on there. So I'll give you I'll give you an equation and then you can do the math. If this frame was wall-to-wall bees, see there's some missing up here, but if it was bees all the way on this side and this side, then you would have, what did I say earlier?
2250?
That's what I thought too, yeah. You would have approximately 2,250 bees. But it's less than that. On this side we see less, and on this side we see a lot less, just enough to keep the pupae warm. So I'm going to pick a number, Patrick, of how many bees. Let's use both sides. Okay, can you get an idea of what you think the number? Don't say it yet.
Okay.
And then you can look at this side. Remember, being totally full, it's going to be about 1,100 on each side, roughly. And so we're absent that number of bees. So let me look at this. Let me get a number. Okay, I got a number. Let me look at this side. I got a number. Okay. So I want the total number of what you think bees are on here.
800.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. I said 1,200.
Did you?
Yeah. So I was just, we don't really know, right? We could take and count them, but, I figured, maybe 700 there and maybe 500 here, but that sounds pretty generous. I think your 800 might be right. But anyway, you have to get familiar with identifying the population of your bees, because that's one of the things that triggers in your mind that a hive is failing because the queen isn't keeping up. Either she's not laying as many eggs, or if there's not a lot of resources in there, then they're actually cannibalizing the young larvae. And that's where they're getting their protein. And that's why the queen's doing good. You might see her, you might see some eggs, but you don't see a lot of population and brood. And that means a protein deprivation. Last week we established they had plenty of bee bread down below, and so we know they have plenty of nectar up here. We're not too worried about that being an issue, but we've seen eggs, and so that's one of the things you want to check for, population. And that's something we're real proud of right now, is that we see a decent population compared to last week. Okay, so I'm still going to answer that question. What do you do if you don't have a resource hive to put in there? Yeah, and so like I mentioned, you've got to get a mated queen in here. Even if they have good resources, if they don't have the brood, it's the easiest thing to do right off the bat. Is just go online and look for somebody selling mated queens, and then you're going to introduce a mated queen in here and hope all goes well. Now let me give you a straight talk, okay? Just me and you, face to face, nobody else around, nobody else listening. Let's just have a frank conversation. If you're going to keep a hive, one hive only, you are at high risk of losing that hive should you have this kind of scenario, because you don't have resources. You can put a mated queen in there, but it may take you a week or two to get that mated queen. Meanwhile, this hive gets, weaker and weaker. By the time you get your mated queen and she starts laying, the population can't support the eggs, and then the developing larvae, they can't support that like they need to, okay? They can a little bit, but it would take them so long, a snowball effect, to really start working out good. And so what you need to consider is always having two hives. If you have one, you're going to be better off to get another one. Finally, if you need permission, if you need some kind of permission from your significant other to get another hive, then you can say, David Burns, an EAS certified master beekeeper, told me to get another hive. Because really, in this case, if you had another hive that was flourishing, you could take maybe not 4 frames, but you could pull 2 to 3 frames over that are cap brood and give that shot in the arm to this hive. But yeah, if you only have one hive, then the only thing you're able to do is put a queen in there and hope they will gain momentum. That's all you can do. So 2 hives is better than 1. That saying, somebody told me it's probably the Navy, or I think it might have been originally from, was it Navy SEALs or Navy Marines or somebody? They said 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So in this case, 1 hive failing doesn't affect us because we have a lot of hives we can pull resources from. But if this was the only hive on the island, then we would really have a hard time keeping it going. So that's just a simple way to really tackle a hive that starts to get weak. Now let me circle back around and say that you might see your hive go into this scenario this time of the year. We're June the 18th right now, and so you could possibly see a hive start failing like this. It can be from other things. They could have a disease, they could have mite viruses, something like that. But you've got to be looking for that. So the way you avoid it is you've got to go into your hives at least once every 2 weeks. I find that to be hard. I've got almost 40 hives here in my YouTube studio yard. And to go into each one and look at all the frames is a long time. It's a lot of work. I'm making videos for you guys. But it's something that you need to do to really stay ahead. Otherwise, you finally get back in here and you realize, I'm 2 weeks late. So one more last tip. A lot of good tips in this, okay? One tip, that's not a small hive beetle, it's some other kind of beetle. I just noticed it. I'm on the lookout for a small hive beetle. That's not one. But one other tip that I want to share with you is that if you see that your bees are not foraging, you don't have a lot of foragers, but you may open it up and you might see some bees in there, you don't have a lot of foragers, you have to kind of do the math, bee biology. So a bee starts foraging around 21 to 24 days after they're born. So that means that if the queen laid an egg, it takes 21 days for the worker to emerge as an adult bee, and then about another 21 days for her to become a forager. You're talking 42 days. So if you look at a hive and you say, oh, I don't see a lot of foraging going on, you almost have to backdate and say, uh-oh, something happened 4 to 6 weeks ago. You know, you think, wow, what was going on? And that tells you, oops, I should have been on the ball. 4 to 6 weeks went by and I fell asleep at the wheel. So there's a lot of responsibility to beekeeping, right, Patrick?
Oh, yeah.
And so I know we all want to kind of not, dot all the I's and cross all the T's all the time. I'm guilty of that myself. But to really be successful in beekeeping, yeah, you got to go in there and really keep track of what's going on. If you want to see the video where I opened this hive up and lo and behold, surprisingly found it not doing good, that way you can drop back and look and see how much better we made it by working on it. Take a look at the video here and you can see a weak hive. I'll meet you over there.